Now, let's set the scene. Melody Shari was at the courthouse because of the ongoing custody battle with her ex-husband, Martell Holt. If you've been following their journey on Love and Marriage, Huntsville, then you already know the history. Melody and Martell were once a power couple married with children, building businesses together and looking picture perfect from the outside. But behind the scenes, Martell was carrying on a long-term affair with Arionne, and that affair eventually destroyed the marriage. Ever since then, things have been nothing but messy between Melody and Martell, with Arrion often being inserted into situations where she honestly doesn't belong. This courthouse situation is just another example of how Martell refuses to let go and how Arrion continues to involve herself in matters that should only concern Melody and Martell. According to Melody, on the day of the hearing, Martell didn't just show up by himself. He brought Arionne along with him. Now already, that's a red flag. Why would you bring your mistress, the same woman who contributed to the breakdown of your marriage, to a courthouse where you're dealing with custody issues involving your ex-wife? That's not only disrespectful, it's provocative, it's unnecessary. And as you'll see, it was all part of a bigger ambush. Melody explained that when she was leaving the courthouse, Martell and Arrion initially walked away. So for a second, she thought maybe it was over. Maybe the energy would settle down and she could go about her day in peace. But no. Instead of leaving for good, Martell and Arrion circled back, returning to confront her again. Melody herself said it was weird as hell, and honestly, she was right. Who does that? Why come back after you've already left, unless you're looking to provoke somebody or start more drama? That right there shows the intent behind their actions. And this is where things start to get uncomfortable. Melody said she was just trying to take a little picture, enjoying a quick moment for herself, when suddenly she realized Martell was recording her. Now, this is the part that really makes you shake your head, because Martell had literally just pleaded guilty to harassment in another case. And now, here he was again, recording Melody outside of a courthouse, knowing full well that it would come across as harassment. Melody even called him out right then and there, asking why he was recording her, asking what the point of it was, and reminding him of his guilty plea. She said it didn't make sense, and she was right, because how can you admit to harassment one moment and then turn around and do the exact same thing again? And here's the hook: if you think that was the worst part, oh no, it gets even crazier. Keep watching, because what happened next is exactly why Melody decided to march right back into that courthouse and report everything to the city attorney. You'll want to hear every word of this, because it shows just how dangerous and frustrating this whole situation really is. So, Martell and Arrion weren't just walking away. They weren't just leaving it alone. Instead, they got into their car and continued harassing Melody from there. Melody actually recorded a video showing them in their car, talking mess, trying to intimidate her. Now, let's think about this. This isn't some random person on the street. This is her ex-husband, the father of her children, behaving like a complete bully in a public place where legal business was supposed to be handled. And right beside him was Arionne, egging it on, sitting there as if this was normal behavior. Melody even said it seemed like Martell was talking to another content creator outside the courthouse, which is why she asked, "Who are you talking to?" But the point is, he was out there creating a whole scene. Now, let me pause for a second and remind you, don't click off. Stay right here, because this story shows exactly why Melody felt so frustrated afterward. And you're going to want to hear how the courts responded when she tried to do the right thing and report the harassment. Spoiler alert, the system didn't protect her. And that's something we need to talk about in detail. So after this harassment outside the courthouse, Melody did the smart thing. She went straight back in and told the city attorney what had happened. She showed them the video she recorded, proving that Martell and Arrion were harassing her. But when it got to the magistrate, they refused to issue a warrant. Why? Because they said they didn't hear an actual threat in the video. Can you imagine how frustrating that must have been? You've got video evidence of your ex-husband and his mistress provoking you, following you, recording you, creating a hostile environment, and the response is basically, well, there was no threat, so we can't do anything. That's exactly why Melody said she feels like women aren't being protected in situations like this. Because what more do you need? Why wait until something escalates further before stepping in? Melody was so frustrated, and honestly, she had every right to be. She's been divorced from Martell for years. She's moved on. She's focused on her kids, her businesses, her music, her life, and yet Martell keeps finding ways to pull her back into this drama. She even said herself, why can't he just leave her alone? Why is he still so focused on her life, especially if she's dating Jason or anyone else? That's none of his business anymore. But instead of moving forward, Martell seems stuck in this toxic cycle, dragging Arrion right along with him. And speaking of Arrion, let's talk about her for a minute. Melody pointed out something that really stood out: how Arrion is constantly screaming, "My man, my man, my man," when the reality of her situation is far from ideal. Melody revealed that whenever Martell is upset with Arrion, he takes the car from her, leaving her to figure out how to get to class or handle her business. Now, think about that. You're sitting there calling someone your man, but he's controlling your transportation, humiliating you in public, and still obsessing over his ex-wife. That's not a relationship to brag about. That's desperation. That's dysfunction. And Melody made it clear that for Arrion to be comfortable standing by while Martell harasses his ex-wife, something is really wrong. Now, I need you to keep watching, because this isn't just about some messy love triangle. This is about bigger issues too. Melody said she feels blessed that she can afford security, but she also pointed out that not every woman is in her position. There are plenty of women who deal with harassment, intimidation, or controlling exes, and they don't have the money for private protection. For them, the system is all they have. If the system shrugs it off because there wasn't an explicit threat, then those women are left completely vulnerable. That's why Melody was so passionate about documenting everything. Keeping a paper trail, going live, making videos, filing reports. Because even if the courts don't take her seriously, at least she's building a record that can't be denied in the future. And this is the part where you really see the contrast between Melody and Martell. Melody is focused on doing things the right way through the courts, through documentation, through official channels. Martell, on the other hand, is running around with Arrion, trying to intimidate and provoke his ex-wife outside a courthouse, on video. It's like night and day, and it shows why they're in this custody battle in the first place. Let me just say this: if you're still here watching, thank you for sticking around. Stay tuned, because I'm going to wrap this up with a message about what this means moving forward. Not just for Melody, but for women everywhere dealing with these kinds of situations. You do not want to miss the ending of this story. So, 2. Recap: Martell, Holt, and Arrion Curry ambushed Melody Shari outside of a courthouse during a custody case. They initially walked away, but then came back to confront her again. Martell recorded her, even though he had just pleaded guilty to harassment, and then he and Arrion continued to harass her from their car. Melody did the right thing by reporting it to the city attorney and showing the video to the magistrate. But the system failed her by refusing to issue a warrant because there wasn't a direct threat. Melody expressed how frustrating it is to deal with this, especially after being divorced for so long and trying to live her own life. She called out Arrion for enabling Martell's behavior and pointed out how sad it is that Arrion continues to accept such treatment. She also highlighted the bigger issue that women are not being protected enough by the legal system, and that documentation and a paper trail are critical. And at the heart of it all, Melody continues to show strength, grace, and resilience in the face of chaos. She's proving once again why so many people support her, because even when she's being ambushed, even when she's being harassed, she chooses to stand tall, to report it properly, and to speak out not just for herself, but for other women who don't have the same resources. So, as we close this out, let me leave you with this. Martell, Holt, and Arrion Curry may think they're winning by circling back, by recording, by harassing, by trying to provoke Melody. But in reality, all they're doing is showing the world exactly who they are: petty, toxic, and stuck in the past. Meanwhile, Melody Shari is showing exactly who she is: strong, wise, resilient, and moving forward no matter what. That's why you need to stay tuned to this story, because it's not over yet. Not over yet.